Hello students, how are you all? I hope you all are doing well at home. This is Leena ma'am and I am here with chapter number 4 NCERT science book of class 8, that is materials, metals and non-metals. Children, I have made two videos for this particular chapter, that is part 1 and part 2. This is part 1 and in this video you will come to know that what is matter and its classification, pure substances and mixtures, elements and compounds, homogeneous and heterogeneous mixture, details on elements and its types, metals, non-metals and metalloids, and physical properties of metals and non-metals. Children, basically this chapter is based on elements. We have to study about the physical and chemical properties of metals and non-metals, but the related terms of elements that we must know, isn't it? So, before we move on this particular chapter in depth, let us try to answer few of the questions. That is, what is an element? Can a wire be drawn out of wood? Do copper and aluminium also rust like iron? What is black material inside a pencil? Why are electrical wires made of aluminium or copper? Children, look at this particular pictures. First picture, I have tried to shown air. Okay. So, second is water, third is stones, metals, trees, etc. Okay. These particular objects around us like air, water, stones, metals, trees are different varieties of what? Matters, isn't it? So, anything that occupies some space and has mass is called matter. Also, the smallest particle of matter which retain all the properties of matter and exist independently are called molecules. Matters can be classified on the basis of chemical composition into three major categories. Those are elements, second is compounds and third is mixture, right? So, let us see what is the classification of matter on the basis of chemical composition. Matter is broadly classified into pure substances and mixture. Pure substances further categorized into elements and compounds, and mixture can also be categorized into homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture. These further can also be categorized, but that is not required for your class, so I had not written over here. But yes, of course, elements classification we will study, that is metal, non-metal and metalloid, that I'll show you in further discussion. Let us first understand what is pure substances. Substances that contain particles or molecules of only one kind are called pure substances. What are pure substances? I mean, what are the characteristics of it? They are homogeneous in nature, has definite set of properties, composition cannot be changed by physical methods, and it can be classified as element and compounds. We have already seen it, isn't it? Let us first understand from these particular pictures what is pure substances and mixture. And we know that pure substances is categorized into two types, that is elements and compounds. So, look at the picture here, the element is depicting similar kind of red dots, isn't it? Compounds is what? Red dots is combined with the blue color rectangle. They are in fixed ratio, but isn't it? Throughout the red and blue rectangle is similar. So, that means what? Elements is made up of similar kind of particles, compound is made up of more than one, that is minimum 2 is required, but in a fixed ratio. But whereas in case of mixture, the elements and compound are mixed together, but the ratio is not fixed, right? Similarly, here just let us see some of the pictures for elements and compounds to understand in better way. First picture on the right hand side, you just see in a circle, you can see that green dots that are representing the elements, whereas in case of compound, along with the green dots, some violet dots are there and it is fixed in ratio, isn't it? So, compound is that. Similarly, on the other side, the element picture for oxygen. Oxygen, children, we all know that oxygen means we always write O2, isn't it? O2 means what? Two oxygen atom combined together to form the oxygen element. In that form only oxygen exists on this earth. So, we say that oxygen element is O2. That in detail we will study later on. Compound is what? Compound is, here the example is given is water. Water, we already know that the formula is H2O. That means one of the oxygen atom is combined with two of the hydrogen atom in a fixed ratio. That means 2:1 ratio hydrogen and oxygen, and that is how they form. So, compound is more than 2, minimum 2 is required to form the compound, 2 of the element I mean, to form this compound, and they are fixed in ratio. So, how do you depict the definitions for these particular terms? Pure substances in which molecules are composed of only one kind of atoms are called elements, like for example silver, iron, oxygen, nitrogen. Similarly, compounds, pure substances in which two or more elements combine chemically in a fixed proportion by weight, are called compound. That is water. For example, water. We have already discussed this. See few of the examples here. First line is showing the elements and second line is compounds. Here the different color is been given so that you will understand better. Oxygen is blue in color, hydrogen is orange in color, and then nitrogen is violet in color, carbon is green in color. In the second line, the first one is nitrogen oxide, that means nitrogen and oxygen. Nitrogen is your violet color and oxygen is blue color. They are combined to form the compound. Similarly, water, here hydrogen 2 in number and oxygen 1 atom. They combine in a fixed ratio to form the compound. Similarly, nitrogen dioxide and carbon dioxide. Just see what is mixture. Mixture picture, you can see that there is on the right hand side, there is no fixed ratio over here. These are all scattered. This is the example of a salt water, right? So, let us see, it is an impure substance, okay, no formula for it. They can be mixed in any ratio. The properties of the mixture are the properties of its constituents, and constituents can be easily separated by physical methods, that is heating, drying, crystallization, distillation, etc. These physical methods you have already seen in junior classes, isn't it? Which is, these physical methods cannot be applied on pure substances, we already know. It is either homogeneous or heterogeneous, right? Let us see the definitions for them, what mixture says. Two or more substances, either elements or compounds, can be mixed together in any proportion. That resultant substance are called mixture. The formation of a mixture involves only physical processes and no change in the molecular composition, right? So, the two types of mixture, that is homogeneous, let us first see the definitions, then we will understand in detail. Look at the picture. So, along with the definition you can understand it in better way. In the mixture of homogeneous kind, just see that it is all over, it is scattered, but in a homogeneous manner, it means in a uniform manner. But in case of heterogeneous, the same particles are in a non-uniform manner, okay. Just see the definition. A solid, liquid or gaseous mixture that has the same proportion of its components throughout any given sample is called homogeneous mixture. Just remember, same proportion of its component throughout any given sample. We will discuss further. Just remember these particular terms from this definition. So, what is heterogeneous then? A solid, liquid or gaseous mixture that has the varied proportion of its component throughout the given sample is called a heterogeneous mixture, right? Just have a look on this picture. You have to take a glass of water and then mix a spoon of salt into it, stir it. After that, if you will take a spoon of water from this, you will just see the mixture, the particles will be like this manner. On the right hand side, the picture is showing for the homogeneous mixture. These are the particle, they are scattered, scattered in a uniform manner. But just think about the sand in place of salt, okay. So, in the sand water, the particles are heterogeneous, they are scattered all over. That means what? What does it means actually, this particular picture? What do you understand? If we'll take a spoon of salt water and taste it, whatever is the taste, it will be same till the last spoon of water, isn't it? But in case of sand water, if we'll take the first spoon of water and you will look at it, you will find some amount of particle in it, okay, but maybe till the last or in another spoon of water, the particle will not be in the same kind which you have seen earlier, right? Because the particles may settle down, because it is not dissolving, so they are moving all around, right? So this type of mixture is known as heterogeneous. Clear? Let us warm up with the terms once again. What is the basic difference? When we are talking about pure substance, the matters that cannot be separated by physical means, they are known as pure substance. But the matter which can be separated by physical means, that is mixture, right? Pure substances are categorized into elements and compounds. So what is element? It cannot be decomposed into something else, whereas compound can be decomposed into something else. Because in case of element, it is of similar type, so no new type of compound or new matter can be formed out of it, okay. But in case of compound, because more of the elements, more different type of more than two different type of elements are combined together to form the compound, so something else can be formed out of it, that is compound, right? Understood? So in case come to the mixture, mixture is further again categorized into two types, that is heterogeneous and homogeneous. Heterogeneous means it is not uniform throughout, whereas homogeneous is uniform throughout. Clear? Let us warm up about the compound. It is a pure substance, again we know already. It is always homogeneous, and we have seen the formula also for it, isn't it? Remember? Nitrogen oxide, then water, H2O, then carbon dioxide, nitrogen dioxide. We had seen some of the pictures. Okay. Now a few more examples here. It can be represented by a formula like sodium chloride, which represent the formula represented by the formula NaCl. That is sodium is an element and chlorine is also an element. They combined to form what? Form a compound, that is sodium chloride. Similarly, methane CH4, glucose C6H12, O6, etc. There must be at least two different type of atoms or elements in a compound. Remember, have a fixed composition and therefore a fixed ratio of atoms represented by a fixed formula. Got it? Now let us understand elements in detail. Composed of only one kind of atoms, that is elements. As I told you, we will discuss about its atomicity, like O2, why O2, all those, what does it mean, that is your atomicity. Atomicity of an element is what? The number of atoms present in the molecule of an element is called its atomicity. It is classified into three types. First one is monoatomic, second is diatomic, third is polyatomic. Monoatomic is what? The elements, each of whose molecules contains only one atom. For example, copper, silver and helium. Similarly, diatomic is what? The elements, each of whose molecules contains two atoms, that is H2, O2, N2. The hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen. Similarly, polyatomic elements are what? The elements, each of whose molecules contains more than two atoms. That is oxygen, this is ozone, O3 is ozone, P4 is phosphorus and S8 is for sulfur, right? Few of the characteristics of elements, a pure substance that consists of only one kind of atoms, and the smallest unit of an element is atom. Elements cannot be broken down into smaller unit, okay. There are about 118 elements known to us today, out of which 92 are found in nature and the rest all are prepared artificially. Out of the naturally occurring 92 elements, 22 are non-metals and 70 are metals, and it can be classified into metals, non-metals and metalloids. Let us see some of the example for metals, that is sodium, copper, gold, etc. Non-metals examples are carbon, helium, nitrogen, etc. Similarly, metalloids examples are germanium, arsenic, antimony, etc. You must have heard about these particular metals, non-metals and metalloids examples. So, just let us further move on about the definition. The elements which are hard, lustrous, malleable, ductile, sonorous and good conductor of heat and electricity are called metal. Okay. Examples are this is gold, silver and copper, and there are many more also. Non-metal, similarly the elements which are brittle, non-lustrous or dull, non-malleable or non-ductile, then non-sonorous and poor conductor of heat and electricity are called non-metals. For example, carbon, nitrogen, sulfur, etc. Similarly, how metalloids can be defined? The elements which possess the characteristics of both metal and non-metals are called metalloids. Examples are bismuth, silicon, arsenic, etc. Children, before we move on further, just you have to remember at least these 20. If you can remember more than this, well and good, but minimum these 20 elements name, symbol and valency you must remember. So, take out your rough notebook and practice it, right. Just try to answer this review question number 1. There are 3 questions here. Then first one is what? Write about the classification of elements with examples. Second is what is an element? What do you mean by element? Third question is how can you distinguish metal from non-metal? This third question is basically can be written in various way that we will study further in physical properties and chemical properties, but for this time being you have to distinguish it based on its definition given. Okay. So, just try to write it down and I am sure that you can do it. Let us start with the physical properties of metals and non-metals. First one is physical state. Metals are generally solid at room temperature. There are some exceptions also. At the end of discussion of all the physical property, we will discuss about the exceptions as well, right. So, non-metals can exist in all the 3 states, but generally they are solid and solid or gas at room temperature. That means the liquid state is an exception, isn't it? That we will discuss later on, as I said. See here, this is table number 4.1, which is given on your NCERT science book, page number 44, and this is in the first page of your chapter. This particular table actually it is an activity kind that to find it out the appearance and hardness of few of the materials. Okay. Here some of the object is been taken: iron, coal, sulfur, aluminum and copper. This dotted lines dots are given here that so that you can take more number of materials over here, okay, or object. So, first of all in the second column we will see the appearance. For iron it is shiny, for coal dull, sulfur dull again, aluminum shiny, copper shiny. Okay. From this what we come to know that some material or some objects are shiny and some are dull, right. So, which are shiny and which are dull? Metals. Metals shine in their pure state, and shining property of metals are called metallic luster, whereas non-metal are non-lustrous or dull. Similarly, we will see the physical property that is hardness. In the third column, we will see that whether some of the object are hard or not, okay, or all are hard or all are not very hard. First of all, for iron we will see this is very hard. Similarly, for coal it is not very hard, sulfur is also not very hard, aluminum very hard, copper is also very hard. So, what you understood from this? Metals are generally hard and hardness varies from metal to metal. Similarly, non-metals are generally soft. Okay. So, let us move on to the fourth physical properties of metals and non-metals. Look at these few pictures. This is activity number 4.1. It is given in the same page, that is page number 44 of your NCERT science book. Here for this activity, some of the materials are taken, like we have to take a small iron nail, a coal piece, a piece of thick aluminum wire from this bunch shown in the picture, and then a pencil lead from this bunch of leads, okay, that we have to take. Then we have to take a hammer. Hammer for what? For beating all those materials. For that we have to record it. So, just draw a table. In the first column of the table you have to write down the name of the objects, and the second column there we will see that whether they are changing their shape into flattens or they are breaking into pieces, right. So, first of all, when we will hammer the iron nail, what will happen? It will flatten. Similarly, for coal piece also it will breaks into pieces. Aluminium wire flattens, and pencil lead also breaks into pieces, right. From this, what do you understand? This is the properties of metal by which they can be beaten into thin sheets. This property is known as malleability. But metal can be flattened and non-metal cannot, isn't it? So, metals can be flattened or beaten into sheets or foils, so they are malleable. We call metals as malleable metal. Whereas non-metals breaks into pieces when hammered, so because they are brittle, isn't it? Hence, they are non-malleable. Got it, everybody? Now, let us move on to the next physical properties of metal and non-metals, that is ductility. Look at the pictures. First picture is what? Iron wires, aluminium wires. Third is copper wire. Okay, let us first consider these three. When we take a iron metal and we try to pull out or drawn wire out of it with proper temperature and pressure, we can get some wire. Okay, we get wire because you have already seen before studying this particular property, isn't it? Iron wire is there, aluminium wire is there, copper wires are there. But have you ever heard about a coal wire? No, isn't it? So, metals can be drawn into wires, so they are ductile. And non-metal breaks into pieces when we try to draw wires out of it. Okay, because they are brittle, and that is why we call non-metals are non-ductile. So, this property, how can you define it? The property of metals by which they can be drawn into wires is called ductility. Clear? Now, the next physical property of metals and non-metals, that is electrical conductivity. Just look at this activity setup. This is activity number 4.2 given in the NCERT science book in page number 45. Here in the setup you can see that the circuit is in the circuit there is a iron nail. Okay, iron nail is given. There is a table, table number 4.3 in your book itself for finding out the electrical conductivity of few materials. Okay, in the circuit if we will put iron nail, sulfur, coal piece and copper wire, what will happen? How, whether the electricity will conduct through this material or not, if we will put it in the circuit. How do you know whether that particular, when we switch on the circuit, then the bulb is glowing or not? If the bulb is glowing, then it is good conductor. If the bulb is not glowing, then it is a poor conductor. So, when we put a iron nail, what will happen? It is a good conductor. Okay, the bulb is glowing, so we conclude that it is good conductor. Similarly, in case of sulfur, when in place of iron nail we will put some sulfur into it and connect the wire from both the end, both the side of that particular sulfur, what will happen? The bulb is not going to glow. This means what? It is poor conductor of electricity. Similarly, coal pieces are also poor conductor of electricity. Copper wire is good conductor of electricity, right? Now, next physical property is sonorous. Look at the first two picture, children. You have already seen these, isn't it? First one is bell and second one is wind chimes. we know that when they strikes, what will happen? What happens? They produce some ringing sound. So these are made out of metals, that is why they produce such kind of sound. Look at the third picture. This is made out of plastics or wood. Do you find similar type of sound? No, they are dull. Okay, the sound is dull. So we can conclude that metal strikes with each other, then they produce a ringing sound. But non-metal produce a dull sound, not like metals. The property by virtue of which metal object produce a ringing sound when struck with a hard object is called sonority. Okay. Children, here the difference between the physical properties of metal and non-metals all together I have written here, along with the exception, as I told you from the beginning that we will discuss about the exceptions. So, first one is physical state. Metals are solid at room temperature as we had discussed, but exception is mercury, that is liquid at room temperature. Another one is also there, gallium. Some of you must be knowing about it, but it is liquid just a little above the room temperature. When you keep it on your palm, that melts. Okay, so it is a little above the room temperature, but if we will consider the summer days, then obviously it is at room temperature, right. In case of non-metal, it is generally solid and liquid, but exception is bromine, that bromine is liquid. Generally they are solid and gases. Second one is hardness. Metals are hard generally, but exception is sodium and potassium. They are so soft that it can be cut into pieces by using a knife. Non-metals are brittle, but exception is diamond. We all know this is the hardest naturally occurring substance. Why it is non-metal then? Because diamond is the allotrope of carbon and carbon is non-metal, right. Third point is luster. Metals are lustrous, whereas non-metal are non-lustrous or dull, but the exception is what? They are diamond, iodine, graphite, all this. Fourth point is malleability. They are malleable, metals are malleable in nature, and then but the exception is zinc. Similarly, non-metals are non-malleable or brittle, we can say. Fifth one is ductility. Metals are ductile, exception is zinc. Non-ductile in nature are non-metals. Exception is carbon fiber. It is the latest production of carbon. This is the carbon allotrope. This is the latest creation. Okay. Sixth point is conductivity, good conductor of heat and electricity. Which are? Metals are good conductor, whereas non-metals bad conductor of heat and electricity. So, exception is what? Graphite and gas carbon. The last property that we will discuss is sonority. We all know metals are sonorous in nature and non-metals are non-sonorous, right. Here some of the questions, review 2. First one is immersion rod for heating liquids are made up of metallic substances. Why? Just a hint, because I know that you all able to answer all these questions. Hint is that you have to think about the physical property, one of the physical property of metal. Okay. Second, just try to define this malleability and ductility. Third one, why are metals used for making bells? Again, the physical property. Fourth one, aluminum foil are used to wrap food items. Give reason. Again, you have to answer it based on the physical property. Okay. Children, you all try and write it down in your science rough notebook. Okay. Science rough notebook in the sense the chemistry rough notebook. Okay. Clear? That's all in this particular video. So, children, thank you. Just keep on reading your NCERT book so that you will understand in a better way, go through the video properly, and see you in part 2. Okay. Till then, bye bye.